have we had any good armor feats?
No, because they don't exist.
All right. Hello, friends. Robert Bevan here, author of the Caverns Creatures series of comedy, fantasy novels, and short stories. With me is Sam West, and today we're talking about the feat, Medium Armor Master.
I have nothing as far as physical depictions. I just think this is sad. This is a sad little feat. So this is prerequisite proficiency in medium armor, and it says you practice moving in medium armor, which just like the fact that you have to practice is what I'm bummed out about. Wearing medium armor doesn't impose disadvantage on your dexterity stealth checks, and when you wear medium armor, you can add 3 rather than 2 to your AC if you have a dexterity of 16 or higher.
All right. This is last time we talked about what is it? The one that allows you to wear medium armor,
Yeah.
moderately armored. Yes. That was just pretty well useless considering how narrow the scope is for anyone who can use it. This one, I feel like the narrowness here is where the differences in armor class between just going full dex and what the armors provide. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. So what this functionally does is if you're a character with a +5 dex, let's say you're a rogue, all right?
Yeah.
You, with studded leather armor, your armor class is 12 plus dex mod for a magical number of 17. It also doesn't have disadvantage on moving while stealthing, so that's just a built-in feature. Now, how does that compare to the best medium armor in the game? Well, the best medium armor normally is half plate that gives you 15 plus dex max 2, which is if you're counting is a 17.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't pose disadvantage on stealth checks though. With this feat, it now is an 18, which is a +1 dex, and otherwise identical to studded leather, as in it gives you no disadvantage penalties to your stealth checks.
Okay.
Now,
yes, that is the perfect example of what I was trying to articulate earlier. Yes.
So, in the world where you are a ranger that wants exactly +1 AC out of their feet, you got it. We're definitely at a point where you have 20 dexterity because you want to increase your dexterity to get a higher AC. So like, and damage, and to hit, like if you have a +3 dex, you have a very, very high dex. Like you want it to be your main stat all the way through almost always, right? Because otherwise you're using high strength for your plus to hits, you're getting high con to help you live, you have AC from heavy armor instead a lot of the time. So if you're already using medium armor, it means you're like sitting on a +3, +2 dex, somewhere in that range. So in the world that you're leveled 17 and you're getting your final feat and you're like, I don't want any of these, I guess I take +1 AC and I switch over to half plate.
Yeah, after all the blowback and comments we got for the defense fighting style, I think there are going to be people that are taking this before 17th level and being really excited about it.
I can't fathom being really excited about a moderate upgrade over the mundane equipment. That's what this is, right? This reads as +1 AC.
Yeah.
Because you weren't having disadvantage on stealth checks and light armor. And this normally is now I'm going from using my positive modifier dex light armor to half plate. Okay.
I mean, I'm with you. I'm just saying that some people are going to really like this.
I will also give those people maybe get this credit. Fighting styles are cheaper than feats, as in like you get it immediately, where a feat is something you get at 4th level and like later down the road, and they tend to be like if you compare an average feat to an average fighting style, that feat's gonna have a way higher impact on the character sheet than the fighting style typically will, because it's like a sharpshooter versus an archery. Both tend to go well together, obviously, but like if you take defense, you probably with the kind of person that would take this, and then you have an AC that's even higher. You got a base 19, then you put a shield on, you got a base 21.
Yeah, no, I mean that's not nothing. If you take both of these, I wouldn't.
Here's a counter argument. What if you just use plate mail, which has a flat 18 AC? That is what half plate improves to.
Yeah.
So if you have heavy armor proficiency, you could just wear plate mail, and it just does this, right?
Yeah.
So this is exclusively in the world of you don't have access, nor do you want access to heavy armor. You're a high dex build, and you're like, for my feet, I will take +1 AC. That's like
Yeah,
three
that's
characters that exist.
all right. We'll break it down. What characters are these? We mentioned rogues.
Do rogues get medium armor proficiencies?
Oh,
This is an important question.
yes, it is.
They don't. They get light armor
No.
proficiency.
Ah.
Okay, so let's look at the classes. What classes only get medium armor and don't get heavy armor? Because that is not a large list, if any. I think maybe Ranger.
This goes back to the sorcerer or wizard taking lightly armored to get moderately armored.
Exactly. Okay, Rangers don't get heavy armor proficiency. There's one character that could benefit from this.
All right, and rangers care about stealth.
Yes.
Ranged rangers care about high dex.
Ranged Rangers don't care about +1 AC though. Like if you're not taking hits anyway.
Much. Yeah.
And those are also the character options that have the highest quantity of feats that they have to take. They need sharpshooter, they need all crossbow expert, they need all that stuff, right? Plus they need max their dex out.
I was gonna say the same thing about rogue before we determined that they don't get medium armor anyway.
Yeah. Fighters is all, paladins is all. I think druids might get medium armor. Let me double check. Druids get medium armor. Okay, so druids and rangers. And some clerics that aren't getting the heavy stuff. But if you're doing a tank frontline cleric build, you're not investing in your dexterity enough to get a +3 in it. So I think you're probably doing like a strength con thing. At that point, you definitely are like a war domain or a domain like life that gets the heavy armor proficiencies. So I have a really hard time seeing that happen to being on cleric. Maybe you're like what druid would want this? Spores maybe would want this. Where you were, when do you want a +3 dex on your druid though? Like it's like if you're using medium armor, you're doing it because it's a high AC with only +2 dex investment. That's the reason you use medium armor in the first place. If you aren't going to increase your dex higher than that, so again, this kind of is just ranger, then you are left with like well, all this does is remove the dexterity penalty that I no longer have because the second best medium armor doesn't have that penalty. So it's like I don't see the window where I want this. I don't think the feat is worth not like the dexterity, the stealth checks no longer being a disadvantage.
I didn't value that enough before we narrowed down this list of classes. Just to be clear though, the list of classes that don't get medium and don't get or
do get medium, don't get
do
heavy.
get medium, don't get heavy. That's druid and ranger. Is that it?
Druid, ranger, and cleric.
Clerics don't get heavy.
Also.
I don't know that.
The reason that I said clerics don't really count is because a lot of cleric subclasses that care about being frontline characters do. Right,
okay.
So clerics get heavy armor from war domain, from life domain, from any of their big forge domain. Get all the ones you'd expect to be in big heavy armor. Get big heavy armor there. So again, that class doesn't want a high dex at all if it can help it. And let's see, do bards get medium armor proficiency?
No, I checked it already. They do not.
Excellent. So there's 3 classes in this game that qualify for this feat, and I wanted on maybe one of them as my third or fourth feat at the top end. I think that's so narrow. I don't think this justifies its existing in the books. It's not it. It's bad.
No, have we had any good armor feats?
No, because they don't exist.
Spoiler alert, we haven't done heavily armored yet.
Oh, I do. Okay, we'll talk about that one. Is at least
master,
interesting.
Sorry.
Heavy armor master is at least interesting. I also double checked. Artificers do qualify for this, and I could see there being artificers like artillerists that do dex-based fighting instead of strength-based fighting. And in those worlds, okay, sure, that they also could benefit from the +1 AC, especially if you're trying to stack it as high as you possibly can.
Yeah.
But then if you're doing armor, you get heavy armor. So that is the build that automatically wants to stack AC, doesn't want this. So that's, 3 of the artificer subclasses could consider it if everything else is done. I don't know what that is. That doesn't seem worth mentioning.
Yeah, I think if you're an artificer and you want to, if armor class is your priority, just be an armor and yeah.
I'm gonna give this a 1. I think we're gonna get pushback on the 1. I think a lot of people think it's a 2 or a 3. I really don't think this justifies existing. I think so few characters want this, and the tier at which you take it is so far removed from what most people will ever reach. This is like a hypothetically I get my 23rd AC. right, out of my 22, and that is just never going to compellingly go on any of my character sheets. I'll take any number of utility feats over this 100% of the time. I'll take, on every druid, ranger, and artificer, I will routinely take every other feat I can get a hold of before I will come anywhere close to medium armor master.
Yeah, I wasn't excited about this before we narrowed it down, and now I'm somehow less excited. So I'll agree with your 1.
Hot trash.
All right. But you're welcome to disagree with us.
Yeah.
We would like to read about all your disagreements down in the comments below, or your agreements, or whatever else you have to say.
All you defense fighting style apologists, come on out. Tell us why this is actually really busted and goes on every AC stacking build in the game. I'd love to hear it.
I don't know. I think a lot of them might have left the channel. There's voices that come up that are like pissed at us again and again, and then they disappear.
That sounds right.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for joining us. Thank you, Sam. And yeah, like, subscribe, do all the things, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.